deep into the profit first content. We were talking about, the top of the funnel, the top of the profit first assessment, the work that we're doing to generate revenue. And one of the things I was, sharing is Carrie was, kind of acknowledging how much I have going on in my life, and at the same time able to stay on business and stay on this stuff. Anyone can do it. Okay, I am the historic poster child for ADHD. I am the epitome of disorganized and crazy. I mean, 26 years ago when my wife entered, my world, we got married. She was in it before that. I mean, you ask her, chaos was everywhere. And it's time on task over time. It's knowing that 1% a day changes the game, and just leaning into it and knowing, as we learn from one more day is coming, that every morning we get up, it's the start of a new sprint today, and how we're going to get one better. So this chapter 4, where we're starting to do some financial business assessments, going to be interesting because I'm a morning reader, so I read it today, and maybe many of you are as well. So I think how we're going to attack this is we're going to kind of talk high level today. And then over this weekend, I want you guys to do the business assessment. If there are challenges, you can reach out to me, and I can get on the phone, kind of help you guys with the understanding. Hopefully today we'll get some clarity around these different pieces from the content so you understand it. And the key here, guys, is that you're just taking a snapshot. It is what it is. No judgment. You're just analyzing the finances of your business right now. By the way, if you really want to go deep, you can do a lot of the same thing for your personal life this weekend, working on a budget. And I really think this book is going to cause our Thursday Financial Freedom Mastermind to come back into the world. So that being said, I hear Mike's out. I hear bouncing around. Steven, are you intentionally live here, brother?
No, I'm sorry.
All right. Well, do me a favor. Get the mic hot at the camera hot at a minimum. And if you've read the content, this is open for everybody. By the way, Nefrita, I didn't mention it yesterday. Great to see you back here. You are always dropping gems in this room. So glad you're here. So, Stephen, mic's hot. Did you read the chapter? And if so, what did you pull from it? Well, that answers that question now, doesn't it? All right. Julianne, what do you got?
All right. What do I got? I ain't got a whole lot. No.
Let's go.
All right. Okay. This is a very analytical chapter. And for me, it was not really applicable because this is like I'm 6 months into, a little bit longer, 8 months into being self-employed, just getting started, launching my business. So a lot of these numbers didn't really apply. So when I finally got over to page 73, and how's it work if you just launched your business? It was really nice to see that he had that in there, and he had it like more simplified. Hey, just get it started, do the profit allocation, your owner comp and tax accounts, just, figure out the rest later, type of a thing. It's, I like also how I did read it all, but a lot of it was not making a whole lot of sense to me. My husband would probably understand much better, but I like how it scales, and you can see exactly numerically how this builds and how it almost has like a compounding nature that's built into it. And so it was really great to do it, even like for dream building, in the sense of going, okay, well, it's not that, oh, woe is me, I have a startup. It's, wow, lucky for me, I'm getting this now, because the best time to have it was, 5 years ago. The next best day is now. So that's all I got.
So let's dive into a couple things you said. One, It didn't make sense. If there's stuff that's not making sense to you guys, I want to talk about it today. I want to help you get clarity on understanding this system. And number two, if you're new, just start using column A of page 68. So here's the fun part, which is going to make you pucker. I want everybody to write down your goal for how much money you want to make in the next 12 months. I should see heads down. I should see pens moving, not smiling and looking great for Russ. I want you to write it down. Okay. So let's say you want to make 100 grand. You're new and 100 grand is your target. Cross that number out and double it. Because that's the real number. Looking at column A, the owner's comp, if you're really running a business, is 50%. So if you want to realize 100K for you, that means 200K is really the target, really the number to make that 100K happen for you, because we're going to run it like a business. It's not a JOB where we get 100% of the revenue. That's how you're going to be in growing and scaling this. So Josh and Kelly, man, I know you guys have some big goals. I know you're doing some amazing things. We get to double up now. How you feeling about that, Josh? I saw the mic go hot.
Good.
That was really eloquent. I appreciate how you.
I mean, I would say I would agree with that, because if you're new, and I thought, I'm like, oh, I'll just do this. But it takes 6 months to ramp up. And then you get to the 6-month mark and you're like, oh crap, how am I going to figure all this out? And how am I going to get all this done? So, yeah, we're optimistic for the next 12, more optimistic for the next 12 months. And at least we have some data and a process.
Yeah, you're building those pieces in here now. And here's the fun part. If you're truly following this and building a business, imagine for a moment that you had 10 grand come in, you followed the model. So you set aside 3 grand for operating expenses. And then of course you paid your MLS, you paid your associations. Part of that operating expense as a real estate agent is that broker split 20%. You may be running real thin right now on other revenue. So now here's the great part of doing this. You have an honest conversation with anybody who calls and says, or they text you, we've got the magic pill that's going to make you millions of dollars in real estate. And all you have to do is give us $500 a month. And you can look at your numbers and say, I'm sorry, but my financials tell me I cannot do that at this time. Just like I've told you guys, following the calendar, building the calendar system, doing that scheduling allows you to never have to say no to anybody about spending your time inappropriately, because the schedule says you can't, you don't. The same thing when you get your financials straight up front. So what else are you guys pulling here in preparation of doing this assessment out of chapter 4?
I was just going to say, I reached out to my credit union yesterday. I have a savings checking account. It's actually, I thought it was savings, but it's a checking account that was to be my profit account. And little by little, I was stealing from that account, which I wasn't intending on doing. I just did. And now it's down to $7. So it turns out they had made that account inactive. And I found out that because of not doing anything with the account for a while, like a long while, they had to reactivate it. And in 2 days, I can finally put in a new deposit. So my goal is a big 500,000 with 250 coming back to me. And I've got to do some serious math, because where I'm sitting right now, I'm not there.
Thinking creatively, thinking systematically, working with who you are right now. For those of you that are at EXP, what might be a simple automated way to pull 5%, as it says in column A, and move that into a quote profit account?
So I thank you for saying that, because I actually brought that up the other day, that 5% is taken out of every transaction and it goes to purchase stock at EXP. But I have an Edward Jones guy and he's doing even better with my funds. So I'm I'm taking the 10% off and getting the stock, but I'm then moving that into my 401k. And I actually have talked to my accountant. I talked to my Edward Jones guy. I'm matching my own corporation is matching my employee contribution. So I'm getting even more mileage.
Hold on, because you're getting to way advanced. I just want to stay on the 5%.
I didn't know I was.
Okay, because we've got an automated way built into your business plan here, because we don't have royalty or franchise fee. So instead, we have a system where you get to pay that to yourself. 5% of every closing. And like Celeste is doing, that money is yours in the moment, so you can move it to a different profit account. She moves it over to her Edward Jones. Awesome. And by the way, automatically, because as you get into later chapters, they'll talk about paying yourself out of the profit account a quarterly bonus. Well, she's just taking it in the moment and flowing it through into her retirement. This is how we get off the treadmill. That's why the model's built the way it is, that you produce, you do the work, 5 years, you can be off this damn real estate treadmill and have a life of choice rather than a life of obligation. So it is an extra piece that Profit First doesn't know about that's already built into your business models for those of you that are here. So if you haven't self-elected that 5%, and again, you make 10% on your money the day you buy it. If you do that, you make 10% on your money day one. And then you can always shift it over to, like Celeste is doing, to another account that's making it happen. So right now, you can automate that piece, gamify it like Justin talks about, where you're dealing with your natural tendencies and you don't even feel it or see it. Justin, your mic's been hot. Go. And then I see Ryan Gletta.
So I'm going to read to us right here from page 64 under A3. Bullet point 8. The goal here is to get you to your real revenue number. This is the real money your company makes. For other stuff, subs, materials, etc., you may make a margin, but it isn't the core driver of profitability because you have little control over it. This can be a real wake-up moment for entrepreneurs, and this is the part that really stuck out to me. It goes on to say, the real estate agency that does $5 million in annual revenue and has a couple dozen agents, subcontractors, taking $4 million in commissions is really $1 million business that manages real estate agents making $4 million, not a $5 million business. It goes on with some other examples, but I guess I feel like that's the most pertinent one to us. I'm curious if that is different with our EXP model. I mean, that to me is like a small independent brokerage or a team that's doing that business. So I think our model is maybe a little bit different, and I'd really like to fully understand that. And then additionally, I wanted to say, I love what Ryan's pointing out in the chat about his different businesses or profit centers with it. I don't know if they're different entities or whatever, but I like how he's broken those up and made them. I'm curious if he has or is going to have the full 7 accounts for each one of those businesses. And I could definitely see where that's going to make it a lot more transparent to be able to look at a snapshot and see this is where we're at with this business or profit center in this, in regards to profit or expenses. And I also have a question for you, Russ. I love the idea of doubling it. My question is this: if we are a solo agent making 100,000 and you're saying to change it to 200, as we scale, and by scaling I mean having VAs help, a team that we pay, is that 100% enough? Or if I wanted to say make 365 a year, do I need to actually make a million? Is it double, or the more extra help we add?
Let's slow down a little, Justin, because so far you've wanted clarity on real estate brokerage ops, you've wanted clarity on multi companies, and now what the numbers look like. And so for everybody here, I just want you thinking through your lens where you're at right now. Okay. Ryan is many years into his real estate journey where he's branching out and creating other entities, other companies, other cash flows. At least he should. And we may talk about that. So first, let's go to the real estate brokerage model, whether it's an independent or a team or a big company. And actually, I'm going to start at the team level first, because you'll see people all the time who are building teams or want to build a team. Maybe in your future, you want to add an agent to your organization. And you feel, because you're looking through the lens of the agent, man, they need to be like on an 80-20 split. Well, if you're in based on these recommendations in here, let me go back to my happy little page. And notice, by the way, on page 68, the larger the company, the more revenue coming in. Based on those, the higher the operating expenses. It's just how big you keep getting bigger, a bigger percentage is going to go to the bottom line to run the operations. So if you've got you're a one-man shop right now, and you are running on a 30% operating expenses, as you should, and you put somebody on an 80-20 split, because you feel that in your heart, how much profit are you taking out of every deal they do?
10%.
Negative 10%. That's what I want you guys to get. If you have an operating expenses solo agent of 30% and you add somebody at a 70-30, you're taking on the time, effort, and energy of pouring into that agent for $0 to you. So I see agents all the time. I have coached agents stepped in when they've had a big team and they don't know what's happening. And we've analyzed the financials and they're overpaying everybody. So they're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week slinging real estate to generate revenue to cover the overhead and expenses of all their agents.
I have a question on that.
Go for it, Julianne.
So, but in your model though, aren't you just working with another solopreneur? So why would your operating expenses go up? It's like if I do an affiliate program with somebody and I take on somebody and we do shared marketing and we do a partnership of rev share, I don't incur any additional operating expenses. And I thought it would be the same with real estate. Am I wrong?
You are wrong with the real estate team models, because you still usually have data and support. When you bring an agent on, they're going to expect leads. They're going to expect services. They're going to expect things. They're just not, hey, I'm going to give you 20% of my revenue and I'm not going to get anything from you and I'm going to be over here doing my own thing. Not how it works. Now, partnership, shared expenses, totally different conversation. But I want to keep you guys in on these pieces. So to Ryan on the large brokerage model or independent brokerage model. And this is why the independent brokerages suffer and collapse, because they've got to get through that growth curve. They're usually giving too much to their agents. They've got 100 agents. They're still running 30, 40% overhead to run that operation with buildings and utilities and staffing and systems and software and all those other pieces, that government compliance. And they can't get through that growth curve to get to a point where they can really start generating profit on the other side. Look at anybody right now in the space. Well, hell, look at Compass. Compass has burned through $1.5 billion of revenue, not revenue to them, of borrowed money based on that model, because they keep buying agents and paying them a high split, and they generate no profit. There were many years from 2014 to 2022 where you didn't have to be profitable to be this great company. All of a sudden, the unique skill of generating a profit is coming back into the conversation. For EXP, by the way, we got real simple. We got a 20%. We take 50% of that and put it into the rev share pool. So they're really running on a 10% margin plus 90,000 agents times $85 a month. There's a whole lot of revenue coming in on that monthly fee to balance out what the split is. And again, if you go look at the financials of the company up until Q4, I believe, of 2023, been 100% profitable. Had like 22 quarters of GAAP positive accounting. And I think we went 19 million short in Q4 and then fixed it. So hope that answers that piece. Let's go to the multi-company piece like Ryan. He absolutely should have separate books, separate accounting, which means separate accounts for each entity. And we do not commingle them. That keeps the government happy, and it makes our bookkeepers happy. And then you're solo increasing. You're not going to have to add that much. Remember, guys, I was doing 75 plus units a year with me and one VA. It's having systems and processes that VA can follow, and spending a little time to slow down and create a really detailed checklist for everything to make it to where they can scale with you and you can lean into what you're supposed to do, which is filling the top of the funnel. All right. So there's those three. Ryan, you were next up. What do you got, brother?
One of the things that I found that was interesting in this is say that you have a pretty good year. All right. Say that you go from making 150,000 to 250, 300,000. What happens is a lot of times people see their operating expenses jump up from 30 to 40%, and then you have a pullback. And that pullback, say you come back to 150%, that operating expense a lot of times is not running back at that 30%. Red light, green light for that kind of stuff is going to help you, because what will happen is instead of doing a 30% on your operating expenses, 150,000, when you pull back that next year, your actually operating expenses are at 60%, and that will crush you financially. And that's the kind of stuff that it's like seeing this and understanding this. Like when you're starting to see a pullback in your business, you have to pull back on operating expenses at the same time and play red light, green light with those things. Having separate accounts to be able to measure that is going to be super imperative for you. On a secondary note, I do have to give a little shout out to Celeste. A lot of times with Celeste, she took immediate action. If you guys heard that, that is fantastic. Great job. Way to call your credit union. Way to get that stuff established and get after it again. The thing that I see in a lot of people in groups, and I see it in agents that I talk to all the time. I want to fix my business. I want to do this. I want to do that. You want to do that. You're going to fail when you don't take action. And I know I keep saying that every single day, but until people start making those changes, you will continue to have the struggles. So great job, Celeste. Way to go and take action on that and make that difference for yourself. 100%. Well done. By the way, I fired my CPA yesterday and I fired a VA yesterday. You talk about taking immediate action. That's exactly what I did.
Keep trimming the fat. And here's the fun part. By implementing this profit first, we're going to naturally fall into a lead with revenue / red light, green light world. Because now what's in that account of operating is going to be real small. By the way, we're also going to fall into a world where we actually have some stable cash flow for our own lives. Because you're going to take this money, move it over, and get yourself on a salary. And we'll talk about this later, a balance of salary and draws. If you actually set up a company, a corporate entity, or an LLC, which we're going to also talk about. We got lots of things to do with you guys to get businesses built. I'm having fun. Glenna, you're up.
Kind of lost my thought. But anyway, the 5%, I've been doing it with EXP since I started 8 years ago. Can I increase it? I don't know. I need to call them and find out.
Can you what?
Can I increase it to 10%?
No. Nope. No. No. So that's built in. And by the way, guys, on keeping thoughts in the room, you know how Coach Russ never like misses a beat? I got my little scribble notes. When you guys talk, I always have it sitting here, making notes when I have something to say on you guys as you're going. So do the same thing in the moment. Be here, making notes. When you have a thought, you have a question, man, I want to hear from you. I want us to go forward. Let me check the chat real quick. It is Friday. 30 seconds. Anybody else want to close us out strong?
I'll go.
Go.
I'm just going to read direct from the text a couple things that I thought were really powerful. The emotional side of this stuff, since we're really deep in, the sooner you accept the truth about your business, the faster you can do something about it. Sorry. And you are not a fool. You have done nothing, and you have nothing to be ashamed of. You are discovering the truth and another way to get where you want to go. You are no longer asking, how can I make my business bigger? You're asking, how can I make my business better? Thank you.
You're welcome. And so here's what I want to close out, because you guys are all going to do this work this weekend before Monday, so we can clear this out and jump into chapter 5. If you're feeling overwhelmed, bad about yourself and the choices you've made, or angry about the numbers you came up with in your instant assessment, there is something I want you to know. You are normal. Totally, completely, 100% normal. So let's get after it. Let's do the analysis. Guys, Freedom Friday. And so this afternoon's conversation time is usually dedicated, in fact, is dedicated, though you can be doing something else, to finding leverage, finding other partners, finding people to be in business with, talking higher level rather than just looking for a transaction. You are looking for relationships. So I implore you guys, be in there 2 to 5 Central. I just very well may be able to make that happen today, depending on what happens here. I'm in California today. Let me kill the recording. Didn't do that yet.